So this third video here on the stupidity series from the questions I originally asked, not that you'd be able to have that frame of reference, but I do. This is about personality disorder. And basically that all personality disorders are related to brain function. And that fundamentally there isn't going to be like a sharp technical difference in the end between functional and dysfunctional. Dysfunctional, it's all function, and dysfunction is a function we can think we could improve theoretically, or that we have examples of it being in a better state, that it would serve it well to be improved. It's a judgment like that. So I'm going to refer to the personality disorder spectrum because there's a certain framing there, a certain challenge for you all. But really it's just because it's a halfway decent spectrum that covers a lot of disorders, each of which are related to functional things. I mean, narcissism as a personality disorder is because the person is always narcissistic. It's like every problem they face, whether it's a problem or not, they face it with a narcissistic attitude. But if you're just narcissistic when you're promoting your stage show and you isolate it to that, that's sort of situationally appropriate. If you're just paranoid when people really are out to get you, then that's good thinking. The thing is about calling them disorders, see, is that we acknowledge that they cause some sort of imperfect operation. Well, the brain, of course, operates imperfectly. So, of course, we should admit that. And it could put us in mind, especially of blind spots. Disorders are basically blind spots, like we're stuck with a certain metaphor in which we play a certain role. And it creates blind spots where we ignore information and make it as though it didn't exist in the first place. And this is what makes us stupid. There really isn't any stupidity. There might be brain damage, but that's not stupidity. There might be an inability to grasp a certain concept. That's like the color red if you're blind, but it's not stupidity. It's brain damage. I think what I generally call stupidity is these blind spots, what you call a willful, unconscious ignorance, ignoring things, right? The power of the mind to ignore information. I mean, it's amazing the information that a mammal can process and take in. Among humans, it seems almost dwarfed by our ability to ignore information. Like we could get so much information that our brain has evolved in ways to ignore it because we're really good at it. But see, I tend to think that this has been accentuated by the fact that we're still slaves in the developed countries. We're a house slave kind of, watch out, don't complain because it's good to be the house slave kind of situation. And to the degree that we have democracy and our slavery is willful and maybe, it's just an attitude adjustment that's needed, we're recovering slaves. There's a lot of habit and conditioning. A lot of conditioning. Slaves are heavily conditioned. And then your great-great-grandparents are all coming down, and grandparents and you, and you're just all coming down through this conditioning, and it's a fact. It's effects and affect. So, I tend to think that all of this stupidity is sort of this kind of thing. People have blind spots, and that's why people that are obviously able to make calculations, chart paths, create logical networks of ideas, they'll still be stupid just in their like, huh? You're so smart. How are you not getting that? Well, it's because of a pattern, a psychological pattern that's created a blind spot that they're used to, that they probably preserve, even. And arbitrarily, with arbitrary ideas set as centuries. There's a lot of flexibility in how the mind makes relationships, and especially how it bundles metaphors together and makes metaphor clusters, allowing us to create these recipes that influence us. They influence the paths we take through our mind. It's like, oh, we'll go around that, and this makes us stupid.